The recruitment officer's third eyelid flickered in what Kresh 7 recognized as barely concealed disgust. The human stood before him, all 5 foot nothing of her, wearing boots held together with what appeared to be plant fiber and sheer stubbornness. Name? Kresh 7's translator chip rendered his clicks and whistles into galactic standard. Mara Voss. Species? He already knew, but protocol demanded he ask. Human. She said it without shame, without hesitation. Kresh 7's mandibles twitched. Humans. The galaxy's newest addition, and already they were causing problems. Too soft for military service. Everyone agreed. Their homeworld was a paradise of moderate temperatures and abundant resources. They had no natural weapons, no armor plating, no venom sacs. They were, by all objective measures, prey animals who had accidentally developed tool use. The Crucible has a 93% casualty rate for humans, Kresh 7 informed her, following the mandatory warning protocol. Attrition, not graduation. You understand the difference? I do. The jungle training ground spans 2,000 square kilometers of the most hostile terrain in the Galactic Defense Force's arsenal. It was designed by the Vorath, who breathe methane and consider sulfuric acid rain refreshing. Sounds fun. Kresh 7's secondary arms spread in exasperation. Fun. She says fun. He stamped the authorization datapad harder than necessary. Bay 12. Shuttle leaves in 1 cycle. Try not to die before you even reach the surface. The shuttle's interior smelled like 30 different species' stress pheromones had gotten into a fight and all lost. Mara wedged herself between a Threxian whose scales kept shifting colors in anxiety patterns and a krill who was quietly weeping mercury tears. Across from her sat Drillmaster Karn 5, a saurian whose species had conquered their planet's apex predators using nothing but pack tactics and spite. His reputation preceded him. 200 successful graduates in 40 cycles, 1,300 failures. Most of those failures were still alive, technically, but working desk jobs while their nightmares slowly faded. Maybe. Listen up, maggots. Karn 5's voice could strip paint. Probably had, actually. In 30 minutes, you hit dirt. Real dirt, not the temperature-controlled, atmosphere-regulated, predator-free dirt you've known your whole pathetic lives. This is Verdant 9. And Verdant 9 doesn't care about your species, your politics, or your feelings. The krill's weeping intensified. You'll have standard-issue survival packs. 1 knife, 1 fire starter, 1 water purification tab, 1 emergency beacon. The beacon is for when you accept you've failed. Press it, and extraction arrives in 6 hours. Press it, and you wash out. Questions? Mara raised her hand. Karn 5's eyes, both the primary and auxiliary sets, fixed on her. The human speaks. What about weapons, sir? What about them? Are we issued any? A sound rippled through the shuttle. It took Mara a moment to recognize it as laughter. Saurian laughter sounded like rocks in a tumbler. Issued weapons, Karn 5 repeated, savoring each syllable. Tell me, human, what weapons does your species have? Claws? He extended his own, each one longer than Mara's fingers. Fangs? His jaws opened, revealing rows of serrated death. Poison? Bioelectric discharge? Acid spray? Armor plating? Anything? We have opposable thumbs, sir. More laughter. Even the krill stopped crying long enough to manage a burbling chuckle. Opposable thumbs, Karn 5 said flatly. How delightful. Those will be useful when you're building a monument to your own failure. No issued weapons, human. You want weapons? You make them. You find them. You earn them. His smile showed far too many teeth. The jungle provides everything you need. Whether you're smart enough to use it is another question. Entirely. The shuttle lurched. Atmospheric entry. Mara's stomach attempted to stage a revolt. 30 seconds! The pilot called back. Karn 5 stood, magnetic boots locking him in place as the shuttle bucked and shuddered. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop into hell. Some of you will panic immediately and hit your beacons before nightfall. Some of you will last a few days before the reality breaks you. A very, very few of you might make it to the first checkpoint. He paused. Any of you make it past the second checkpoint, I'll personally write a letter of commendation. Any of you graduate. His laugh was sharp, bitter. Well, that would be interesting. The rear hatch blew open. Wind screamed into the cabin. Hot and wet, and carrying the scent of 1,000,000 growing things, all trying to kill each other. Move! 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 Mara jumped. The canopy hit her like a wall of green violence. Branches whipped past, leaves the size of blankets slapping her face. Her descent harness deployed, caught, slowed her just enough that the landing only knocked the wind out of her instead of breaking her spine. She lay there for a moment, staring up through the canopy at the purple-tinted sky of Verdant 9, listening to her lungs remember how to function. Then the screaming started. Not human screaming. Worse. The Threxian had landed in something's territory, and that something was expressing its displeasure loudly and, from the sound of it, wetly. The screaming stopped abruptly. Mara decided not to think about what that meant. She checked her gear. Knife. Present. Fire starter. Check. Water tab. Accounted for. Beacon. Bright red. And currently feeling very, very tempting. Okay, Mara, she muttered to herself. Just like summer camp. Extremely lethal, designed by methane breathers, probably haunted summer camp. A roar echoed through the jungle. Something big, something close, something that had definitely skipped breakfast. Mara looked around. Trees, huge and twisted, their bark covered in what might be moss, or might be something that just wanted her to think it was moss. Vines thick as her torso, hanging like nooses. The ground was covered in decomposing plant matter that squelched under her boots and released gases that made her eyes water. No weapons, huh? She examined the nearest tree. The wood was dense, dark, and hard, as polymer composite. Good. She looked at the vines. Fibrous, flexible, strong. Also good. The smaller branches, the ones that had slapped her on the way down, were straight and flexible. Mara smiled. 3 hours later, she had the basic frame. The wood had been a nightmare to work with using just her knife, and she'd snapped 2 blades before figuring out the grain pattern. The vines made serviceable cord once she figured out which ones wouldn't give her chemical burns. The branches needed fire hardening, but her fire starter had enough charge for that. Another scream cut through the jungle. Closer this time. The krill, maybe, or one of the others. Mara worked faster. By nightfall, when the jungle's natural luminescence started painting everything in shades of blue and sickly green, she had finished. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't regulation. It definitely wasn't issued equipment. But it was a bow. She tested the draw weight. 60 pounds? Maybe 70. The arrows were crude, just fire-hardened sticks with notches carved for the string. But the points were sharp, and the shafts were straight enough. Something moved in the undergrowth. Big. Definitely bigger than her. Mara knocked an arrow, drew, aimed at the sound. Yellow eyes reflected the bioluminescence back at her. Multiple eyes. Many, many eyes. Oh, come on, she whispered. The thing charged. Mara loosed. The arrow flew true, sank into something soft. The creature shrieked, veered off, crashed away through the undergrowth. She heard it thrashing for a moment, then silence. Then a different sound. Slower, deliberate. The sound of something with enough confidence to take its time. Mara grabbed her gear and ran. The jungle at night was a special kind of horror show. The bioluminescent fungi growing on every surface made everything look like it was underwater. Shadows moved with purpose. The sounds. Clicking, chittering, roaring, screaming, singing, a whole symphony of things that wanted to eat her. She found a tree with branches starting about 15 feet up. Perfect. She used her remaining vine cord to fashion a crude climbing harness, tested it twice, then started up. The bark cut her hands. Good. Pain meant she was still alive. Pain meant she was still in the game. 20 feet up, she found a branch cluster that formed a relatively stable platform. She wedged herself in, tied off her harness, and tried to calm her breathing. Below, something snuffled around the base of her tree. Something else answered from across the clearing, a conversation in growls and clicking. Mara strung her bow, laid 3 arrows across her lap, where she could grab them quickly, and settled in to wait for morning. If morning came, dawn on Verdant 9 arrived like a slap. The local star, a blue giant, turned everything harsh and bright and unforgiving. Mara's eyes ached. Her hands were torn up from the bark, her shoulders screamed from sleeping wedged against a tree trunk, and her throat felt like she'd been gargling sand. She needed water. The water purification tab was one use. One tab, 1 liter of water rendered safe from the approximately 1 million toxic compounds that Verdant 9's ecosystem considered normal seasoning. She'd have to make it count. Mara climbed down carefully, bow slung across her back. The creatures from last night were gone, but their tracks remained. Huge, 3-toed prints pressed deep into the soft ground. She gave them a wide berth. The sound of running water pulled her west. She moved carefully, arrow nocked, eyes scanning constantly. Every shadow could hide death. Every plant could be poison. Every sound could be, "Help! Somebody, please!" Mara froze. The voice was Galactic Standard, translator flat. Another cadet. Every instinct screamed, "Trap." This was exactly the kind of thing that got people killed. The distressed call, the plea for help, the obvious bait. "Please! It's got me!" The scream that followed was genuine terror. No translator could fake that biological response. Mara ran toward the sound. She found the krill. And she found what had the krill. The creature was mostly mouth. The rest of it seemed to be an afterthought. Just enough body to support the truly impressive array of teeth currently working on dissolving the krill's lower extremities. Human! The krill's eyes focused on her with desperate hope. Mara assessed the situation. The creature was big, maybe 8 feet of hungry, but it was focused on its current meal, and it had soft-looking eye clusters along its flanks. She drew, aimed, breathed out, released. The arrow punched into an eye cluster. The creature's scream was like metal tearing. It released the krill, whipped around. Mara was already moving, circling, drawing another arrow. The creature was fast. Faster than it had any right to be. It lunged, jaws wide enough to swallow her whole. Mara dove, rolled, came up with her knife. She drove it up into what she hoped was the soft underbelly. Hot fluid sprayed across her hands. The creature thrashed, caught her with a limb, sent her flying. She hit a tree, saw stars, tasted copper. Her bow was somewhere. Where was her bow? The creature advanced, slower now, leaving a trail of its own fluids. Wounded, angry, and still very, very hungry. Not ideal, but humans had started with rocks. Humans had conquered their world with rocks before they invented anything better. She threw. The rock hit another eye cluster. Mara threw another rock, and another, and another, each one finding soft tissue, sensitive areas, the gaps in whatever passed for its armor. The creature retreated, decided this meal wasn't worth it, and crashed away into the undergrowth. Mara found her bow, checked it for damage. Still functional. She turned to the krill. The mercury tears were flowing again, but this time from relief. "You saved me. You actually saved me. Can you walk?" The krill tried, collapsed. The dissolving agent had done serious damage. I don't think so. Mara looked at the emergency beacon on the krill's belt. 1 press. 6 hours. Safety. Do it, the krill said. Press the beacon. I'm done. I know I'm done. You made it through the first night, Mara said. That's better than some. What's the point? I can't walk. I can't fight. I'm just dead weight. Mara considered this. The tactical decision was obvious. Leave the krill, conserve resources, maximize personal survival chances. That's what they'd taught in the simulations. That's what every tactical manual recommended. But humans hadn't conquered Earth by being tactical. I'm going to make a stretcher, Mara announced. You're going to shut up and let me carry you. And when we graduate, you're going to owe me a drink. Clear? The krill stared. You're insane. Yeah, probably. Species trait. You coming or not? It took an hour to build the stretcher. More vines, more branches, more creative applications of the word engineering. The krill weighed less than expected, mercury-based biochemistry being what it was, but it was still like dragging a sack of liquid metal through hostile jungle. Mara's shoulders burned. Her legs shook. Her vision blurred with sweat and exhaustion. And then she heard it. The sound of running water. The stream was beautiful, by Verdant 9 standards. Clear, cold, only mildly toxic. Mara used her purification tab, filled her canteen, and shared half with the krill. Why? The krill asked between sips. Why help me? We're competitors. Only the strong are supposed to survive. Mara smiled, wiped sweat from her face. Yeah, well, humans have this weird thing about defining strength. We don't just mean physical power. We mean, she searched for the words, we mean taking care of each other, working together, turning prey animals into apex predators through sheer cooperative spite. Thunder rumbled overhead. The sky was darkening. Storm coming. We need shelter, Mara said. She found a hollow in a massive tree trunk, big enough for both of them. She helped the krill inside, then set about weatherproofing the entrance with broad leaves and spare vines. The storm hit, like the universe had personal grievances to settle. Rain hammered down. Not water, but something thicker, darker. Lightning split the sky in colors that shouldn't exist. The wind howled with what sounded like voices. Inside the hollow, Mara and the krill huddled together, sharing warmth, sharing silence. My name is Krill 7, the krill said finally. But my friends call me 7. Mara Voss. My friends call me Mara, because I don't have a number, and humans are weird about names. 7's mercury eyes reflected the lightning. We're going to die here, aren't we? Maybe, Mara admitted. Probably. The statistics aren't great. And yet, you're smiling. Am I? Mara touched her face, surprised to find it was true. Huh. Yeah, I guess I am. Why? Mara listened to the storm, felt the tree shudder under the wind's assault, smelled the ozone and alien compounds in the rain. Because we're not dead yet. Because I built a weapon from scratch. Because I saved someone who needed saving. Because tomorrow, assuming we survive tonight, we get to do it all over again. She looked at 7. Because the universe keeps throwing nightmare scenarios at us, and we keep punching back. 7 was quiet for a long moment. Humans are deeply strange. Yeah, Mara agreed cheerfully. We really are. The storm raged through the night. Things screamed in the darkness. Trees fell. The jungle tried its absolute hardest to kill everything in it. Morning came anyway. Mara emerged from the hollow, bow in hand, ready for whatever came next. 7 crawled out behind her, still unable to walk but no longer crying. The jungle had changed overnight. New plants had sprouted. Old ones had died. And the whole ecosystem had rearranged itself like a puzzle designed by a malicious god. And there, carved into a tree 50 meters away, was a symbol, the first checkpoint marker. "Well," Mara said, shouldering the stretcher, "let's see if we can make Drillmaster Karn 5 write that letter of commendation." 7 made a sound that might have been laughter, or might have been horror. "You're actually serious about this?" "Deadly serious," Mara grinned. "Get it? Deadly? Because everything here is trying to kill us? I hate you a little bit right now." "That's fair." They headed toward the checkpoint, one step at a time, one human and one krill against an entire planet designed to break them. The jungle watched. The first checkpoint turned out to be less of a checkpoint and more of a "congratulations, you're not dead yet" monument. A metal pillar, chest high, with a scanner that beeped when Mara pressed her wrist comm against it. 2 names appeared on the display screen. "Out of 30 cadets." 2, 7 whispered. "Only 2 of us made it. 3 if you count both of us separately," Mara pointed out. "Math's not really my thing, but I'm pretty sure that's how numbers work." The display flickered, then showed new information. "Second checkpoint, 70 kilometers northeast. Time limit, 4 days. 70 kilometers, 7 said flatly. "Through this, in 4 days, while you're dragging me." "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds hard." "Because it is hard, impossible even. You should leave me. Press my beacon. Save yourself." Mara checked her remaining supplies. 2 arrows left. Knife getting dull. No more purification tabs. The bow was holding together, but the string was fraying. "You know what humans used to say back on Earth?" Mara asked, not looking up from her inventory. "They'd say, 'Impossible' is just a word people use when they haven't figured out how to do something yet." She finished her count, looked at 7, with that same infuriating smile. "So let's figure it out." The terrain got worse. Of course it did, because Verdant 9 had apparently decided that merely deadly wasn't enough. Now they were in swamp country, where the ground was more suggestion than fact, and the water was definitely planning something sinister. Mara had to abandon the stretcher. Instead, she fashioned a harness that let her carry 7 on her back. The krill weighed maybe 60 pounds, but after the first hour, it felt like 600. "I could just—" 7 started. "Don't even think about hitting that beacon," Mara panted. "We're making progress. Look, we've gone at least 3 whole meters since the checkpoint." That was sarcasm. Was it? I'm too tired to tell anymore. Something rippled in the water beside them. Something big. Mara froze, hand on her bow. The creature surfaced slowly. It was mostly tentacles, with what might have been a head or might have been a particularly ambitious tumor. Its eyes, all dozen of them, focused on the 2 cadets. Then it spoke. Not in clicks or roars or screams, but in perfectly clear galactic standard. "Did that thing just state the obvious?" "Yes," 7 finished. "They're swamp speakers. Intelligent, carnivorous, and really, really into stating facts before they eat you. You are small," the creature continued. "You are weak. You are food." "Okay. First of all, rude," Mara said, drawing an arrow. "Second, you're making a lot of assumptions." The creature's tentacles spread wide. "You have primitive weapon. I have crushing strength. Mathematics is simple." Mara's mind raced. 2 arrows, 1 chance. The creature was big, but those tentacles had joints, weak points where they connected to the main body. "Let me show you my work." She fired. The arrow caught a tentacle joint, severed it clean. The creature howled. Mara was already moving, circling, using the swamp's terrain. She fired her last arrow, caught another joint. The creature thrashed, creating waves that nearly knocked Mara over. "You are lucky!" it screamed. "Luck is not skill." "You're absolutely right!" Mara shouted back, pulling her knife. "Luck is not skill. You know what is skill? Adaptation." She dove under a sweeping tentacle, came up next to the creature's main body, and drove her knife into what she desperately hoped was something vital. Hot fluid sprayed. The creature's howl turned into a gurgle. It sank beneath the surface, leaving only bubbles and a spreading stain. Mara stood there, chest heaving, covered in alien blood for the second time in 2 days. That, Seven said from her back, was the most terrifying thing I've ever witnessed. Thanks. I try. Mara wiped her knife clean. Also, I'm out of arrows now, so the next thing that tries to eat us better be polite about it. They pushed on. Hours blurred together. The swamp gave way to rocky terrain, which gave way to a forest of crystalline trees that sang when the wind blew through them. Mara found a cave, checked it for occupants, found it blessedly empty. She set Seven down gently, then collapsed. Mara? Why are you doing this? Really? Mara was quiet for a long moment. You want the official answer, or the truth? Truth, please. Back on Earth, before we joined the galactic community, we had this thing called the space race. Countries competing to get off the planet first proved they were the best, the strongest, the smartest. Mara stared at the cave ceiling. And you know what the thing was? The thing that actually got us to space? It wasn't competition. It was cooperation. Scientists sharing data. Engineers building on each other's work. People helping people because that's what gets things done. But this is a competition, Seven pointed out. Only the strong graduate. Yeah, well, maybe I'm trying to redefine strong. Mara turned her head to look at Seven. Maybe strong isn't about doing it alone. Maybe strong is about making sure nobody gets left behind. Seven's mercury tears flowed again, but this time they seemed different. Humans are very, very strange. You keep saying that like it's a bad thing. Morning brought new horrors, because of course it did. The cave they'd sheltered in turned out to be the nesting ground for something with too many legs and a serious attitude problem. They ran. Well, Mara ran. Seven clung to her back and provided commentary. Left! Go left! I am going left! More left! That's a cliff! Better than the angry mother! They tumbled down a slope, landed in a heap at the bottom. Distance covered? Mara asked, checking her wrist comm. 40 kilometers from checkpoint 1. 30 to go. Time remaining. 2 days. Great! Wonderful! Fantastic! Mara stood, winced. Everything hurt. Let's keep moving. The jungle had saved its best for last. The terrain turned into a maze of ravines and cliffs, each one requiring careful navigation. Mara's hands bled from climbing. Her legs trembled with exhaustion. Seven had stopped talking hours ago, conserving energy. Then they heard it. Voices. Other cadets. Mara crept forward, Seven still on her back. Through the trees, she saw them. 5 cadets, all different species, all working together. They'd built a fire, caught food, looked organized and efficient. And they were arguing. The human can't possibly make it, one of them said. A Vorlax, by the sound of it. She's carrying dead weight. She saved the krill, another voice. Showed mercy. That's weakness. Or strength, a third voice suggested. Depends on perspective. Mara backed away quietly. She didn't need their help. Didn't want their judgment. She and Seven would make it on their own terms, or not at all. The second checkpoint appeared at sunset on the 4th day. Mara literally stumbled into it. So exhausted, she almost missed the marker entirely. She pressed her wrist comm to the scanner. The display lit up. 7 cadets had made it. 7 names glowing on the screen. We did it, Seven whispered. We actually did it. Mara wanted to celebrate, wanted to cheer. Instead, she just sat down hard, Seven still on her back, and stared at the scanner. Warning! Apex predator territory. Survival rate, 12%. 12%, Mara repeated. Well, that's better than 0%. Your optimism is going to get us killed. Probably, but we'll die smiling. A roar echoed through the jungle. Close. Too close. The apex predator, making its presence known. The other 5 cadets burst into the clearing, running flat out. Behind them came something. Mara's brain struggled to process it. It was big. It was fast. It was very, very interested in catching them. "Run!" one of the cadets screamed. Mara stood. Her bow was barely functional. Her knife was dull. She had no arrows. She had a krill on her back and exhaustion in every muscle. She had absolutely no business fighting this thing. 7, she said quietly. Hold on tight. What are you doing? Something stupid. Probably. Mara picked up a rock, then another. She started throwing them at the creature, not to hurt it, but to get its attention. It worked. Oh, it worked beautifully. The creature's multiple eyes fixed on her. It changed direction, abandoning the other cadets, focusing entirely on this tiny, stupid human who dared challenge it. "Mara, this is insane!" "Yeah?" Mara backed toward a cliff edge. The creature advanced. "But you know what? Insane is what we do best." The creature charged. Mara waited. Waited. The creature's momentum carried it over the cliff edge. It fell, roaring, into the ravine below. Silence. The other 5 cadets stared at her. 7 stared at her. Mara stared at the cliff edge, breathing hard. "Did that just happen?" one of the cadets asked. "I think so," another replied. Mara turned to face them. "You're welcome, by the way." The Vorlax, who'd called her weak, stepped forward. "You saved us." "Yeah, well, seemed like the thing to do." Mara adjusted, 7 on her back. "Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a final checkpoint to reach." "Wait," the Vorlax said. "We could work together. Pool resources, increase survival chances." Mara considered this. 7 whispered in her ear, "Your choice. I'm just cargo at this point." "You're not cargo," Mara said firmly. Then, to the others, "Sure, why not? The more humans we act like, the better our chances." "You're not all human," one of them pointed out. "No, but I'm teaching them our ways. It's like a cultural exchange program, but with more death." Mara grinned. "So who's got food?" "Because I'm starving." The final week was brutal. The apex predator had friends, lots of friends. The terrain turned actively hostile, as if Verdant 9 itself had taken personal offense to their continued survival. But 7 cadets, working together, sharing resources, covering each other's weaknesses, could do what individuals could not. Mara taught them to make bows. They taught her about edible plants and safe water sources. 7, still unable to walk, became their navigator, having memorized terrain patterns from being carried around for days. They lost 1 cadet on day 3, a Threxian who sacrificed himself to save the others from a collapsing cliff. They mourned. They moved on. They survived. The final checkpoint appeared on day 7, exactly at sunset. A massive gate made of metal and determination, with Drillmaster Karn 5 standing beside it. 6 cadets emerged from the jungle. Mara was still carrying 7. Karn 5's expression was unreadable. Cadet Voss, Cadet 7, and company. "Sir." Mara set 7 down gently, then straightened. Every muscle screamed. She ignored them all. "You carried that krill the entire way." "Yes, sir." "Despite it reducing your survival chances significantly." "Yes, sir." "Despite having multiple opportunities to abandon the burden and ensure your own success." Mara's jaw tightened. 7 isn't a burden, sir. 7 is a teammate. Karn 5 was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, his mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. 20 cycles I've run this course. 1,300 failures. 200 successes. And in all that time, you know how many cadets have graduated while carrying another? How many, sir? None? 0. It's never happened. Karn 5's auxiliary eyes focused on the group. 6 graduates, 4 species, working together, supporting each other, refusing to leave anyone behind. He laughed. That rocks in a tumbler sound. The human infected you all with her madness. Sir. That's a compliment, cadet. Your species has been in the galaxy for 3 cycles. In that time, you've failed every military assessment, washed out of every combat program, been declared fundamentally unsuited for warfare. Karn 5's grin widened. And yet, here you stand. Not just surviving, but redefining the parameters of success. He pulled out a datapad. I believe I promised a letter of commendation for anyone who made it past checkpoint 2. You made it to graduation. He began typing. This should be interesting to compose. 7 struggled to stand. Mara helped, supporting the krill's weight. Together, they faced the Drillmaster. Permission to speak, sir? 7 asked. Granted. Humans are absolutely insane. Noted. But they're also absolutely incredible. Karn 5 nodded slowly. That, Cadet 7, is why they're going to change everything. He looked at Mara. Your species isn't strong because of claws or fangs or armor. You're strong because you refuse to fight alone. You turn enemies into allies. You carry the wounded. You make weapons from nothing and hope from less. We're just stubborn, sir, Mara said. No. Karn 5's voice was firm. You're human, and the galaxy has no idea what's about to hit it. The gates opened. Beyond them, the graduation ceremony awaited. 6 cadets walked through together, supporting each other. Proof that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is refuse to let go. Mara looked back at the jungle one last time. Verdant 9 stared back, still hungry, still deadly, still undefeated. But not today. Today, 6 cadets had beaten the odds. Today, a human had carried a teammate 70 kilometers through hell and made it look like determination. Today, the definition of strength had changed. Hey, 7? Mara said, as they walked toward their future. Yeah? You still owe me that drink. 7's mercury tears flowed, but this time they were definitely from laughter. Humans. Absolutely insane. Yeah, Mara agreed, smiling. We really, really are. Behind them, the jungle roared one final time, a sound of grudging respect from a predator acknowledging a worthy opponent. The humans had arrived, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same.